All right, so let's go ahead and add some of these configurations to our theme. All right, now we're not going to do all of the things that we talked about. For example, we're not going to go ahead and add color schemes, but we will take a look at our application decorators, or our widget decorators, if you will. In the code, it's called Portlet Decorators. Like I said earlier, the portlet term is going to be used for our widgets. All right, and we'll also add some custom theme settings as well. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our theme here. Again, make sure you have the theme source open and your exercise source available as well. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and open up the web.inf folder in our exercise source. Okay. We've already copied over the Liferay look and feel.xml. So let's go ahead and copy over the Liferay plugin package.properties. Okay. From exercise source to the web.inf in source here as well. Just go ahead and replace that. All right, so these are the two main files that we're working with. Obviously, the plugin package.properties is going to be where we can set some specific properties for our theme, but the Liferay look and feel.xml is where we're going to actually add some of our configurations. Okay, so go ahead and open up the Liferay look and feel.xml. Okay. And we're going to start with Portlet Decorators. You'll see again that we already have some of our theme settings here. So we're going to start with the Portlet Decorators and come back to adding a few more theme settings as well. Okay. So find the section here. It says Insert Snippet 01 Portlet Decorators. All right, we can go ahead and type in LFR and grab that first snippet. Okay. Again, if you'd like, you can actually pause the video and you can type this out if you want. What we're doing here is we're adding the basic application decorators that we have in the classic theme. So barebone, decorate, and borderless. Okay. Now we are going to go ahead and add a custom portlet decorator here next. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and hit space under the last option here. And we're going to go ahead and use the portlet decorator tag. So go ahead and type in portlet-decorator. Okay. We need to set an ID. All right, and we're going to call this one solid. Okay, so set that for the ID. And then for the name, we will just call this solid with a capital, just like we're doing with the other decorators here. All right, and then let's close this tag. Okay, Portlet Decorator. All right, and now what we want to do is we want to add our Portlet Decorator CSS class. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that here. Okay, so we're going to use the same Portlet Decorator CSS class tag. Okay, close that off as well. All right, so this gives us our Portlet Decorator class tag, and we can just go ahead and add portlet-solid. Okay. All right, so this is our custom Portlet Decorator. Again, it's that easy. If we run a gulp deploy right now, we'll actually see that show up in our widget options. But of course, we haven't actually added any styling yet, so that's something that we need to do next. Okay. All right, so let's go back to our CSS folder in source for a theme, and go ahead and open up the Portlet folder, and you will see the Portlet Decorators.scss. So go ahead and open that up. All right, so go ahead and type in LFR here, and we're going to find snippet 9, which will be the Portlet Decorator SCSS. Okay, so you see we're using these classes that we set. All right, Portlet Decorate, we have Portlet Solid, Portlet Barebone. Okay, so that's where we can go ahead and add in our styling. All right, so it's that easy. All you need to do is you need to add our XML, okay, and then you need to provide the styling in the Portlet Decorator.scss. Okay, and this is already being read or imported in our custom SCSS, so we are good to go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And the next thing we want to do is we want to add in some additional custom theme settings as well. Okay, so again, these theme settings allow us to provide those settings that administrators can use, okay, if they are configurable. You'll see here we have a number of default theme settings that we've already been taking advantage of earlier on when we started this process. You'll see some of them are configurable, some of them are not configurable. Okay, so that is totally up to you, depending on how you want to use the theme settings. Okay, let's go ahead and highlight the second snippet here. Type in LFR and add in our theme settings. Now these are going to be theme settings for our social media icons that we can display in the footer section. Okay, so you'll see all of them are configurable. We've set their keys here for the icons and the icon URLs. Okay, we have given our icons the checkbox type and set the default value to true. Okay, now what we need to do next is we need to actually add the conversion of these keys to variables in the init custom. So we're walking from start to finish for this whole process. And once we have those variables available, we will be able to add that into our footer FTL and provide some styling as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our templates folder. Okay, so open up templates in your source, your theme source. All right, go ahead and open up the init custom.ftl. Okay, and at the very top, we have our assignment section here, and this is where we are again, converting those keys into our variables. All right, so highlight the insert snippet section here, type LFR, and find the 06 init custom settings here. Okay, and again, what we're doing is we're using that getter util, okay, and we are using the theme setting.get theme setting here to translate this key to our variable. Okay. All right, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and use these variables to add these icons to our actual footer. All right, so as we saw earlier in an earlier section, we can do that in the footer FTL. Okay, so go ahead and open that up. Again, that's in your source templates. Highlight that 7th section here. Okay, and type LFR and find 07 social portal normal here. So what we're doing here, similar to what we've already seen, is we're doing the include so that we can add the code for the actual social media icons distinct from the rest of the footer code here. So we're going with that modularity. All right, so let's go ahead and open up the social media FreeMarker file. Again, this is a custom FreeMarker file, something that we would have created from scratch. Okay, highlight the top there, type LFR, and add in that 8th snippet. Okay. This snippet, again, is going to include an if statement, like we've seen before, with our icons. So if these icons are configured or turned on, we can go ahead and basically view a list of these icons and their links. That's sort of what it breaks down to. All right, and the anchor tags allow us to open up, let's say, Facebook or Twitter in a new window. Okay. We could, of course, do more with this if we wanted to. So if Livingston had an actual site, we can configure the variables for the URLs to direct us to those specific Twitter or Facebook accounts. Okay, but for now, this gives us the basic setup, and we will be able to see these icons once we have added our styling. Okay, so we have all of the setup here. Again, to go through the whole process, we have added the keys in the Liferay look and feel.xml. We have converted the keys into variables in the init custom FTL. And then we have used the footer to include a file and then actually added those variables in the FreeMarker here. Okay. So let's go ahead and take that next step and add some additional styling. So go ahead and go back to the CSS folder of your theme. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and drop the footer SCSS that's going to be found in the partials folder into our editor once again. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and highlight the snippet comment at the very bottom here. Type LFR. Okay, and go ahead and find the 10 social media footer SCSS. Okay. So what this does now is it adds in our social network's ID. All right. And we have included some colors and additional styling for those different variables or classes that we've created. Okay. All right. So again, we have a number of other things that we can do in here. We talked about embedding layouts as well as color schemes. All right. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video and test some of those things, feel free to do that, especially with color schemes. We'll actually get to layout templates more in the next chapter. Okay. Otherwise, this is what we have for this particular theme. So we're going to run that gulp deploy, and we're going to get our changes on the platform. Okay. So we're going to come back to your command line or terminal and run a gulp deploy. All right, so this is going to deploy our changes. This will allow us to see some of these options in the menu, okay, specifically in the site administration pages section. So we'll give it a second to load, and then we'll go ahead and refresh. All right, so I'm going to refresh my page here, let it load. Okay, and we see our social media icons here. That's awesome. And then if I go to Pages and Configure, all right, for my theme, I will now see all of my settings that are available. And administrators can go ahead and turn these off or on as they see fit for any given site. Okay, so this is sort of that fulfillment of bridging that gap between the administrators and the front-end developers. What we can do is use these settings to provide some options for them without having to go back and change the code necessarily. All right, so that wraps up our theme. So in the next section, we're going to look at some of the additional options, such as Themelets, for example, and we'll go ahead and plug those in as well. All right, so see you in the next section.